the UN system, together with the international financial institutions, they must work together. And this is another task that we are trying to achieve through the work of this Peace-Building Commission. And in fact, the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund participate in all our meetings, are at the table, and in fact are giving very substantive contributions to the work of the Commission. And finally, an important aspect of the work of the Peace Building Commission is that peace building is not free. It's going to cost money, and an important part of our mandate is indeed to mobilize resources for the countries with which we are dealing. We know for a fact that these countries, they are at the bottom in terms of statistics available when it comes to, for example, level of development. Both Sierra Leone and Burundi are definitely what today is called aid orphans. They have not been at the top of the radar screen in terms of being of receiving assistance, and an important part of this commission is to indeed try to correct that and make sure that sufficient resources are indeed diverted to these countries so that they can meet some of their basic needs. In addition to the establishment of the commission, the UN also decided during the summit meeting that I referred to also establish a UN peace-building fund to assist the work of the Commission, but to work independently and to be able to meet urgent need as they arise, not only in these two countries, Burundi and Sierra Leone, but also indeed assist in other cases. And the fund has been set up in such a way that it's supposed to be able to react quickly, not try to avoid as much red tape as possible, so that you actually can meet needs as they arise. And today this fund is we have close to $200 million in the fund, after which Norway contributed 30 million. And this has already been drawn upon. In fact, very recently, both Sierra Leone and Burundi received $35 million out of this fund. And but this is not supposed to sort of pay for what is involved, what is necessary. On the contrary, it's supposed to just be initial funding, catalytic funding, and both the international financial institutions and bilateral donors obviously will have to do more in order to meet the needs that do exist. Since I'm personally very much involved with the situation in Burundi, I just would like to comment a little more on Burundi and maybe as a little bit of a case study in this particular case. As I mentioned, Burundi is indeed one of the poorest countries in the world, and you know that together with Rwanda, Burundi has gone through a terrible recent history, very tragic, where there has been civil war, genocide taking place, strong conflicts along ethnic lines between Tutsis and Hutus over many, many years. And it was only in 2000 that finally, after many years of fighting and conflict, that the peace deal was struck, which led to democratic elections in 2005. So when we today and then we had a government formed. So democracy in Burundi is very young, and I think this is something that we have to keep in mind when we look at not only Burundi but also other countries. It's very easy to start using yardsticks that we are using in the Western world on these countries. I think we have to recognize that there will be bumps in the road, and this has indeed happened. But I think at the same time, it is, in the case of Burundi, has so far things have gone very well and probably much better than could be expected. The new government in place has indeed done its own efforts in terms of peace building in a very interesting manner. They are among one of the most progressive countries in the world in terms of allowing women to participate in public life. 8 out of 20 ministers are women. Women in Burundi, they are in charge of the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and other very important ministries. And similarly in Parliament, they have, in fact, they post a quota system so that 30% of all the women in or the parliamentarians are women. So there are many countries in the Western world who are in fact falling behind in this respect. They also have done a number of other things in terms of trying to build bridges between those who some years ago fought each other. For example, the Minister of Defense is a Tutsi, a group which actually then lost out during the Civil War. And so in a number of, I think, enlightened policies have indeed been put in place, which is obviously is going to be very helpful in no doubt difficult times ahead. As I said, and as could be expected, when a country comes out of conflict like Burundi, it's not done overnight to solve important issues. For example, the issue of corruption obviously is there, but it's being tackled, and the new government is working, in fact, closely with the World Bank to try to put in place a system that can hopefully eliminate this kind of problem. As regards what we are doing in the Commission in terms of concrete work at the present moment, we started up last fall because there was a new body. We had to define what should be our focus, and last fall was devoted to defining critical areas where we have to do more in terms of peace building. And in the case of Burundi, to give you an example, we've identified together with the government itself 3 or possibly 4 areas, and they are, first of all, good governance is an area where we have to do more in terms of peace building. We have to empower the government to do the right things. And secondly, rule of law and security sector reform. Rule of law, again, quite important after what this country has been through, to have a system where justice is visible, is being practiced. And of course, the security sector reform. After all these years of fighting, you have lots of fighters still around, some of them unemployed. Very important to deal, to assist these people, demobilizing and returning them to civilian life. But finally, and not least, the whole issue of what is called community recovery. In other words, the Commission, we have to assist Burundi in this case in terms of mustering resources for economic and social development. So this is what we did last fall. At present, we are going further in, because if we are going to integrate and coordinate ourselves internationally effectively, we have to have an instrument, some kind of reference document in